In the ancient times of Egypt, the Ptolemaic Dynasty held sway over the land for nearly 3 centuries, from 305 to 30 BCE, until their eventual downfall at the hands of the Romans. Interestingly, despite their rule over Egypt, they never truly embraced the Egyptian culture. Instead, they isolated themselves within the splendid city of Alexandria, conceived by Alexander the Great. This city was a bastion of Greek language and customs. A peculiar feature of the Ptolemaic dynasty was their tendency towards intermarriage within the family. Marriages were often between siblings or even between uncles and nieces. While such practices might seem unusual, they were justified by drawing parallels with Greek mythology, where gods were known to intermarry. Out of 15 recorded marriages within the Ptolemaic family, 10 were between siblings, and 2 involved nieces or cousins. Even Cleopatra VII, the renowned last queen of the dynasty, was Macedonian, not Egyptian. Despite the challenges posed by this interbreeding, Cleopatra was the exception, making efforts to learn Egyptian and connect with the local people. The saga of the Ptolemaic dynasty began with Ptolemy I, a Macedonian nobleman and close associate of Alexander the Great. After Alexander's death and the ensuing chaos, Ptolemy secured Egypt as his dominion, recognizing its wealth and strategic advantages. However, not everyone trusted Ptolemy's intentions, leading to political maneuvering and the eventual execution of a finance minister appointed to keep an eye on him. Ptolemy I faced challenges from rival commanders, particularly Perdiccas, and even engaged in conflicts outside Egypt, occupying Cyprus and confronting adversaries like Thraben. His most notorious act, stealing Alexander's body, escalated tensions with Perdiccas, culminating in a war that ended with Perdiccas' demise. Despite the controversies and conflicts, Ptolemy I set Egypt on a path of economic and administrative stability during his 4-decade rule. The Ptolemaic dynasty endured for almost 3 centuries, leaving a lasting impact until the era of Julius Caesar and Cleopatra VII. The intricate tapestry of alliances, betrayals, and strategic moves defined this fascinating chapter in ancient Egyptian history. Following the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus, the Ptolemaic dynasty continued its intricate dance of power and alliances. Ptolemy II's death in 282 BCE paved the way for his son, Ptolemy II Philadelphus, to ascend the throne. Ptolemy II had been co-regent with his father since 285 BCE, and his rule was marked by significant expansions of Egypt's territories. Married to Arsinoe I, the daughter of Thracian regent Lysimachus, Ptolemy II found himself entangled in a web of political intrigue. Lysimachus, influenced by his wife Arsinoe II, conspired to eliminate his own eldest son, the heir apparent, on false charges of treason. This act, driven by the queen's desire to secure the throne for her own son, caused discontent among fellow officers. After Lysimachus's death, Ptolemy II married his sister Arsinoe II Philadelphus, further solidifying the intricate family ties within the dynasty. Unlike some of his successors, Ptolemy II expanded Egypt's influence, reclaiming Cyrene and acquiring territories in Asia Minor and Syria. Despite facing challenges in the Cremonidine War against Macedon, he left a lasting legacy by establishing trading posts along the Red Sea, completing construction on the Pharaohs, and expanding the renowned library and museum in Alexandria. Ptolemy II's era marked the pinnacle of the dynasty's strength, with Egypt thriving both internally and externally. However, the subsequent rulers faced internal strife and struggled to maintain the empire's stability. Upon Ptolemy II's death in 246 BCE, his son, Ptolemy III Evergetes, ascended the throne. Ptolemy III faced challenges in the form of the Canopus Decree, prompted by the sudden death of his sister, Princess Berenice. This decree, issued in 238 BCE, honored her as a goddess and proposed a new calendar, though the latter was not adopted. In 246 BCE, Ptolemy III invaded Syria to support his sister's husband, Antiochus II, in the Third Syrian War. Following Ptolemy III, his son Ptolemy IV Philopator took the throne in 221 BCE. Continuing the tradition of marrying within the family, he wed his sister Arsinoe III. While he achieved some success in the Fourth Syrian War against Antiochus III, his reign was mostly marked by the construction of the Sema, a tomb honoring both Alexander and the Ptolemies. Unfortunately, Ptolemy IV and his wife met a tragic end in a palace coup in 205 BCE. Ptolemy V. Epiphanes, the son of Ptolemy IV and Arsinoe III, inherited the throne as a child. His reign was plagued by wars and revolts, leading to the loss of valuable territories, including Palestine, after the Battle of Panium in 200 BCE. Dissidents in Thebes further challenged Ptolemaic control for 2 decades. As the dynasty continued, Ptolemy VI, Philometor, faced numerous challenges during his reign, contending with his brother Ptolemy VIII Evergetes II. Egypt endured invasions by Antiochus IV, with Rome's assistance aiding in regaining nominal control. Despite the unrest, Ptolemy VI's death in 145 BCE marked a significant chapter in the ongoing saga of the Ptolemaic Dynasty. As the Ptolemaic Dynasty continued its tumultuous journey through the corridors of power, Ptolemy VIII, the younger brother of the fallen Ptolemy VI, assumed the throne in 145 BCE. The intrigues of the Ptolemaic family persisted, as Ptolemy VIII married his brother's widow, Cleopatra II, only to replace her with her daughter, Cleopatra III. A brutal civil war erupted from 132 to 124 BCE, wreaking havoc on Egypt, particularly in the despised capital city of Alexandria. The animosity between the citizens and the royal family led to persecution and expulsion until an amnesty was finally reached in 118 BCE. Ptolemy VIII's reign marked a period of internal strife and discontent, culminating in his succession by his eldest son in 116 BCE. Ptolemy IX Soter II, also known as Lathyrus, followed in the footsteps of his predecessors by marrying 2 of his sisters, Cleopatra IV and Cleopatra V Serene. His rule was marked by joint governance with his mother, Cleopatra III, until his overthrow by his brother in 107 BCE. Forced to flee to Cyprus, he later regained the throne in 88 BCE, ruling until his death in 80 BCE. The subsequent pharaohs had little impact on Egypt, and the rise of Rome cast a looming shadow over the region. Ptolemy X, Alexander I, younger brother of Ptolemy IX, served as governor of Cyprus until brought to Egypt by his mother in 107 BCE. His brief and tumultuous reign included the alleged murder of his mother, Cleopatra IV, and marriage to Berenice III. Expelled in 88 BCE, he vanished at sea, succeeded briefly by his youngest son, Ptolemy XI Alexander II, who was later murdered by the Alexandrians. Ptolemy XII Niels Dionysius, also known as Auletes, succeeded Ptolemy XI in 80 BCE. His close ties with Rome led to his expulsion from Alexandria in 58 BCE, only to regain the throne with the assistance of the Syrian governor Gabinius. His rule, sustained by bribes and Roman connections, faced distrust from the Roman Senate. The subsequent pharaoh, Ptolemy XIII, 63 to 47 BCE, emerged as the brother and husband of the renowned Cleopatra VII. His brief rule was marred by a failed civil war against his sister Arsinoe, aligning against both Julius Caesar and Cleopatra in a fierce struggle for the throne. Ptolemy XIII's ill-fated alliance with Caesar turned disastrous when he presented the severed head of the Roman general Pompey, seeking refuge in Egypt, to Caesar. The ensuing battle saw Ptolemy XIII's defeat, and he met his demise in the Nile when his boat overturned. Arsinoe was taken to Rome in chains. Following this turbulent chapter, another brother, Ptolemy XIV, 59 to 44 BCE, took the throne. Having served briefly as governor of Cyprus, he married his sister, fulfilling the wishes of Caesar. His rule, however, was abruptly cut short, possibly due to poisoning orchestrated by his elder sister, Cleopatra VII. The final chapter of the Ptolemaic dynasty unfolded with Cleopatra VII, a ruler whose name echoes through history as simply Cleopatra. Her reign, spanning 22 years, left an indelible mark on Egypt, controlling vast stretches of the eastern Mediterranean. Educated in the traditional Greek manner by her father, Ptolemy XII, Cleopatra endeared herself to the Egyptian people by actively participating in their festivals and ceremonies. Unlike her predecessors, she immersed herself in the Egyptian language, alongside Hebrew, Ethiopian, and other dialects. To secure her position, Cleopatra navigated the treacherous waters of Roman politics. Her liaison with Julius Caesar became legendary, captivating dramatists and poets for centuries. However, with Caesar's demise, she aligned herself with the Roman general Mark Antony, only to face a crushing defeat at the Battle of Actium. In a tragic turn of events, she found no mercy in Octavian, the future Roman Emperor Augustus, and chose to end her life. Cleopatra's son with Caesar, Caesarion, Ptolemy XV, faced a grim fate at the hands of Octavian. Her other children, Alexander Helios, Cleopatra Selene, and Ptolemy Philadelphus were taken to Rome to be raised by Octavian's wife. The once mighty Egypt, once described as a Roman lake, succumbed to Roman rule, and the era of the Ptolemies came to a close. Throughout the Ptolemaic rule, a significant policy of Hellenization unfolded, embedding Greek language and culture into Egyptian life. Ptolemy I's strategic move of the government center to Alexandria reinforced its Greek character, turning it into a city more Greek than Egyptian. The intellectual heartbeat of the Mediterranean pulsated in Alexandria, adorned with a grand library and museum built by Ptolemy I, attracting scholars from across the Mediterranean. The library, guided by Ptolemy I's advisor Demetrius of Phaleron, became a beacon of Hellenistic culture, though it ultimately faced destruction under Roman control. The construction of the Pharaohs, a colossal lighthouse by Ptolemy I and completed by his son Ptolemy II, added to Alexandria's allure. This masterpiece became one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, its beacon visible for miles, both day and night. While Ptolemais in Upper Egypt housed newly arrived Greek residents, Ptolemy I, in many ways, respected Egyptian traditions and religion. Local cults were supported, and stolen religious objects were restored. 2 new cults emerged, one dedicated to Alexander the Great and another to the healing god Serapis, though the latter never gained widespread popularity. Administratively, while the capital shifted, the basic structure persisted. Egypt's tightly controlled economy featured royal land, strict regulations on activities like tree felling or pig breeding, and essential record-keeping. Under Cleopatra VII's rule, taxes multiplied, including a salt tax, a dike tax, and even a pasture tax, highlighting the intricate economic web woven in ancient Egypt.